Excuse me, I should be live. Good morning, Europe. I hope you're well. It's Monday, the 22nd of October, and the markets are about to open in 30 seconds. The markets are opening a little weaker this morning. I wanted to show you how the markets closed. Here's the Nasdaq on a 15-minute chart. As you can see, it closed at an all-time high. And here's the DAX on a cash chart. If I look at the daily chart, you'll see big picture. And we are opening, if I show you on a 30-minute chart, we're trading around 23,560. So we're opening about down here, which is where Thursday and Fridays, it must be Thursday's low was, which was a gap up. So we're testing this gap area. And if they begin to chew their way through that, well, then we'll probably see 23,300 again. I also would like to show you something that I think could be of interest to you. I wouldn't call it a major turning point concern, but we are entering a week which is 72 weeks. Excuse me. It's 72 weeks from this top here. So from here to here, which is this week, if you look at the counter over there, and I hold the cursor over this week, you'll see it says 72, and that's an important count number for me. It's the 500 calendar day cycle. Now, but you'll notice that down here that this didn't seem to be an enormous turn. It only lasted 2 weeks, and then we resumed the bull trend. And if you believe in things like this, it is also this week 34 weeks here since, but I don't know if you believe in the Fibonacci turns, but there you go, just so you know. Okay, so that was a little timing lesson, I imagine. But I decided that I wanted to take a chance on to see if we had a week open, and I put in some tiny shorts, and I don't have a stop loss on them, and I may just close them again. We'll see how this morning progresses. As you can see, I'm currently losing 23 pounds on it, so it's definitely in the minor department. In other news, I've been preparing frantically for my talk in Frankfurt, which will take place on Friday. I don't know if any of you are planning on attending. They actually are also offering it as a streaming service. Must say though, it's what do I want to say? it it isn't cheapest of prices. So I don't mind posting the link. I was going to do that later today. And then maybe you want to see what the speaker roster is and if that's something that you want to invest your money in. I wonder if I can find it on Google. What would I search for? International technical analysis, Frankfurt, September 2025. IFTA conference, there we go. So there's a guy called VLAN Alt. So secure your spot live streaming. Register now. I'm a private person or a person. You get so it costs 332 euros. You get 3 full days of strategies, insights, and global discussions. Blah 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 blah. There we go. But then but you have to add your local VAT on top of that. That's pretty cool though. They have an AI real-time subtitles. That's sweet. Huh? Well, Thomas, who just written in, then I guess you can just sign up. Okay. By the way, I don't have a whole lot of bad things to say about TD365, but one thing I wish they could have is the ability to trade quarterly contracts. And they have some, say, in the FTSE, and I could have done it there, couldn't I? Actually, I'm being a bit stupid, aren't I? I could have just traded the FTSE. But I was looking for it in the DAX. And Jesus, they have that there as well. Do they have it in the US? My God, they do. Well, I ballsed that one up. So I'll take that back. They actually have these quarterly contracts, so I could have traded them rather than doing this as a, because now what I have to do is I have to sort of, you see this function here, the hedging function. That means that you can be long and short at the same time. So stand by for a short position. In the FTSE, I'm short in the FTSE here at 9204. That's what we call a first bar positive sell. So I'm just swapping these things around. All right, so that's better. Right, so the FTSE are bouncing strongly, annoyingly. Beginning to see the FTSE. On a cash market only chart. So here's a daily chart. Of the FTSE. Don't know if that's a double top in the making, and we're headed back down to 90-100. Currently trading at 92. Well, pretty much where it says. It seems like it's the DAX that is more. It's the weaker one. So let me show you the DAX cash only chart again. So that's where we were. 23,550. Now we are at 23,500, about here. And so you can see what the market is currently doing is it is, I don't know, was not quite sure what description I should use for this, but it is eating into this gap here. That's what's happening. This gap that took place from Wednesday to Thursday, which was the result of FOMC. So this will probably take a little bit of explaining on my part. I'll do my best. Okay, so what you're seeing here is sort of the reverse of the FOMC in July. So we had the announcement, and then the following day, I think it's the it's the following day we had a slight gap up and then a big push lower, and we finished the week very weakly. But then the following week we reversed absolutely everything that had been lost over FOMC. I don't know if you could imagine that turned on its head, but that would mean that what we are seeing here is that everything that was gained after FOMC will be lost. We can take another example. Just the DAX is really weak. So the next example is with the 18th of June. See if we can find a. So here's the 18th of June, and then the following. Did I get that right? So what's that? I think I just need the cursor. Yeah. So here's the FOMC day, and then the following day you have a gap down, and it continues into the following day. And then actually it retraces immediately here. Yeah, no, just trying to find patterns, that is all. I'm keeping an eye on the markets as well. I want to do one more for my own curiosity. Oh, I lost my arrow. I had Larry Pesavento on the phone yesterday, and he spoke incredibly passionately about a downturn in the market now, and it had to start immediately. All right, 7th of May. So that would be here. The market gaps up, and then the following week, all right, following week, we are seeing on the Monday a very sharp retracement. But it seems to be a one-day wonder, but nevertheless quite a strong retracement, about 2.2%. What would 2.2% look for us? It would take us down to 23,100. There you go. The FTSE position is doing well. It's annoying that the FTSE had to do that little whoosh back up, isn't it? A friend of mine, Nils H, is saying, you have to be mindful that you pay higher spreads when you choose the quarterly contract, and that's absolutely true. But then in terms of, for example, and you can't, and let me pick the dice instead. So I think this is a really good lesson. So for example, right now the spread on the quarterly contract in the DAX is 3 points. But you have to remember that if you choose this contract, you do not pay the overnight fees. And the overnight fees usually the overnight fees are always based around the prevailing interest rates, plus minus whatever the broker charge. And I think TD365 charges 1.5% on top, or maybe it's 2%. What I do know is that it amounts to approximately 1.5 point of your stake. So say that I did £10 a point on a normal what we call a cash trade, and I held that from one day to the next, I would pay approximately £15 per night holding it. What that means is that you only have to hold it for 2 to 3 days before it is better to trade the December contract. And December expiration is a while away. Excuse me for 1 minute. So in case you're wondering why did I sell the FTSE, well, and there's more than one reason today. I am obviously done some homework and wondering if this market is ripe for a correction, and I have positioned myself as such. Yes, and I'm sorry that I didn't contact you during the night, and you won't see the positions, and that's just what it is. But from a situational analysis point of view, that's a first bar positive. And it fitted me very well today to be a seller of that. What I think is interesting is that if I had been a buyer, I would have had a pretty decent trade as well. I would probably have been stopped out at break even, but it would have been a pretty decent trade. Here's a cash chart. Now, forgive me, but that doesn't look right at all. I think I'm just going to shut E-signal down and reopen it. Well, there's clearly an issue here. Right. The data stops in April, sorry, and then it continues in September. So there's, don't know how that all of a sudden happened. But we are at the lows in the FTSE from last week. In fact, we've taken out those lows by a little bit. I wonder if 9100 could be on the cards, but I can't show you. I can't show you an intraday chart because there's a data issue. There's a data issue with the DAX as well. You know what? I think I'll just close the E-signal down. So we're coming up to school run. You have two very negative candles. Currently, the length of that this 15-minute bar is 45 points. So it's coming up to a sell signal now. I might just reduce the stake size a little bit. And if we were to trade above number 2, which is the one that just completed, I would actually want to be a seller there as well. I'm shorting the FTSE again, adding to my winning position at 9199.7. The reason why I sold there is because on the 5-minute we traded above 2 prior bar highs. See that? This bar here, 7, traded above highs of 6 and highs of 5. And I wanted to sell short that. So I put my stop loss on both at 9,215. I'm shorting the DAX here. Excuse me. Stop loss is at 569. So here are my open positions. I move my stop loss down. I'm adding to my DAX again. So I have 2 short positions in the DAX, and I have 2 positions in the FTSE, sort of the bigger size. Not looking so good now. Oh, come on, footsie. If that second position goes into profit, I could be tempted to add again. I'll show you on a 5-minute chart. But looking at it like that, maybe not getting too aggressive is a wise idea. Buyers just came in and bought under 8. And the FTSE is not showing the same weakness as it did earlier. there it is. Unfortunately, what I'm making in the DAX, I am more than losing in the FTSE. I don't know whether to show you the FTSE or the DAX, so I swap. This is a price chart of the German car maker Porsche. That's not looking too good. Notice how the FTSE is not budging at all. Bloody hell, FTSE. You really are spoiling the party today. I'm adding to my DAX position. Fuck. Definitely not my morning. DAX is pulling back from that double bottom. As you can see, I took a chance and pushed the short side. And the FTSE is also pushing higher. My stop loss is not far from being hit. My stop loss is at 15. You can see how we're at 14.5 now. Sorry. So that definitely cost me. Obviously I'll post transaction a little later in a little while. I have a stop loss at 520. It's actually not the right place to have a stop loss. I'm going to move it just above that high there. So the stop loss is at 530. I'm sorry about that. But having said all of that, there's two angles that I'm pursuing here. One angle is I'm just going to get stopped out. All right. I'll have to accept that. That's going to cost me because I pushed the short side and I knew the chance that I took by selling short down at the double bottom. I'm aware of that. The flip side is that if we were to trade back down here, the DAX does indeed display weakness. It opens up for a lot more downside that it wasn't able to bounce meaningfully. It's just grinding away at my positions now. This is what it looks like on a 5-minute chart. You can see that we had a weak open and we are sort of establishing what could be a trading range. Now it's just a question of how deep is 12 gonna go above, say, 9 and 8 or even 7. But this is not over for the bears yet. It could just as easily come back down again to this area here. FTSE, on the other hand, is away. Very strong. And the US futures are still pointing south. But when you look at the DAX on a 15-minute chart, that kind of pattern, I think, is going to encourage the bulls. You took out the low of 3 and 2, and now you're trading well into the range. So the odds are not in my favor. I have to acknowledge that. Now all I can do is put my faith in that I've read this price action trading range correctly. Just show you my account. Oops, sorry. here's the transaction history so far. You can see I've already lost. Started today with 43,567, and I'm currently at 42,900. So I've already lost a fair bit. And right now I am hoping that this is a trading range and that the circumstances are bearish and that we are going to trade back down to 23,470 or lower. You can see the red lines here. That's where my stop losses are. What is certainly not speaking in my favor is how strong the FTSE is. And I believe I just got stopped out of one DAX. Yes, I did. I won't post that on Telegram, I'll just post the whole thing. But I have been stopped out of one DAX. That was the last entry at 480. I stopped out at 530. The other stop loss is at 548 and at 541. And that trading range that I was hoping, that doesn't look like it's happening now. Unless 13 just wants to have a peak above 7 and then get back into the range. I don't know. I like to be a seller of the FTSE up here around 92.29.6, 92.30 essentially. Well, this could be quite a wait. I think I'll stop streaming now and I'll update you on Telegram instead, but just so that there's complete transparency. I have a sell order at the top of the range in the FTSE. I have lost this morning, and I currently have these open positions. Yeah, so that's full transparency. I'll post this in Telegram. There we go. And then I'll stop streaming for now, and I will see you at the US session. Because right now it just becomes a waiting game. I would like to add to the DAX if I don't get stopped out and it trades back down again, because I think that's all the sign I need to interpret that as more weakness is coming. But it could be a while, and I don't want to take up your time. This could just be waiting, but the stop losses are in place. And if I get stopped out, I will obviously post that in Telegram. So that's it for now. I will see you at the US session, hopefully with some better news than what I'm witnessing right now. Thank you and bye-bye for now.